From a 34-ton shark tank shattering to a polar bear hurling a massive rock at the glass, aquariums and enclosures allow us to admire animals safely up close. In aquariums, especially large ones, highly durable glass is used to ensure the safety of visitors. However, things don't always go as planned. Glass can crack or even shatter, sometimes with serious consequences. Here are 10 cases when aquarium glass wasn't strong enough. Shark tank in a Shanghai mall. In a Shanghai shopping mall, a massive shark tank was installed back in 2010. Over time, it became a popular attraction, drawing hundreds of visitors daily who came to watch a diver feed the predatory fish. On the eve of New Year's 2012, shoppers gathered as usual to witness the feeding. However, this time, their festive shopping trip turned into a terrifying ordeal. Visitors still recall that day with horror. In one of the mall's halls, a giant aquarium housing exotic deep-sea creatures, rare fish, sharks, and turtles, suddenly burst. Security footage captured the dramatic moment when the 34-ton glass tank shattered in the middle of a busy workday. Water gushed into the shopping area, sweeping turtles, fish, and lemon sharks along with it. Shards of glass rained down on store employees and customers, injuring 15 people. One witness described how everything happened in an instant. One moment it was business as usual, and the next, a deafening crack was followed by a massive wave that knocked people off their feet. Unfortunately, all the marine creatures in the tank perished. While the shark aquarium had been one of the mall's main attractions, management decided not to rebuild it. Remarkably, just one day after the incident, the shopping center resumed operations as usual. The polar bear and the glass tank. Polar bears spend their entire lives near the Arctic Ocean, constantly hunting for food. To catch their prey, they must be excellent swimmers, moving through the water with as much confidence as they do on land. These skilled divers can stay underwater for several minutes at a time. Many zoos install transparent tanks so visitors can observe bears swimming up close. But in one unusual case, a polar bear seemed to be in a particularly bad mood. It picked up a large rock and hurled it at the glass, shattering the enclosure. The people standing nearby were genuinely terrified. The glass enclosure for monkeys. An unusual incident took place at a zoo in Henan Province, China. Visitors captured a shocking moment on video when a white-fronted capuchin shattered the glass of its enclosure using a rock. After several attempts, the monkey finally succeeded. Startled by the result, the capuchin jumped back from the cracked glass but soon returned to examine the damage. Although the enclosure did not fully break, since the zoo had used reinforced glass, the incident surprised both visitors and zoo staff. The capuchin wouldn't have been able to escape, but this event highlighted the intelligence and problem-solving skills of these animals. Capuchins are well known for their ability to use tools. Researchers believe they have been using sharpened rocks for various tasks for around 3,000 years. While some incidents like this happen by chance, others demonstrate the remarkable cognitive abilities of animals. However, not all glass-blowing incidents are accidental. Sometimes, human foolishness is the cause, like when a young girl teased a gorilla, leading to an unexpected and frightening reaction. We'll cover this and more in the following sections. Stay with us for some fascinating stories. This dramatic event took place at the Gorilla Research Center in Omaha, Nebraska, USA, which opened in 2004 and houses over 20 gorillas. One day, a group of visitors was watching a female gorilla peacefully lounging on the grass. However, a nearby male gorilla suddenly became agitated and charged at the glass wall, separating him from the visitors. The impact was so forceful that the glass cracked, though it did not shatter completely. Nonetheless, the unexpected aggression terrified onlookers. One visitor later uploaded the footage to YouTube, where they expressed concerns over whether the glass was truly strong enough to keep visitors safe. Upon reviewing the footage, it became evident that a young girl had been provoking the gorilla by mimicking its chest-thumping gesture. a classic intimidation display in guerrilla communication. In the wild, gorillas use this behavior to ward off threats or to challenge rivals. The male gorilla's reaction was entirely natural, proving that human interference can sometimes lead to unintended consequences. Perhaps parents should educate their children on how to interact responsibly with animals. Fake shark smashes aquarium glass. A viral video captured an eerie and hilarious moment at a museum in Washington, D.C. A visitor was exploring an exhibition dedicated to James Bond when he came across what appeared to be a shark tank. However, the tank was actually a disguised high-tech screen designed to frighten unsuspecting guests. Despite a warning sign that read, "Touch at your own risk," the visitor hesitated before pressing his hand against the screen. At first, nothing happened. Confused, he turned to his friend who was filming the moment. Suddenly, a massive great white shark lunged at him, baring its teeth as it slammed into the glass. With a loud, realistic cracking sound, the screen simulated breaking glass. The shocked visitor lost his balance and fell to the floor. Fortunately, the shark was nothing more than an ultra-realistic animation. The moment was so convincing that even the friend filming the scene flinched, causing the camera to jerk. The video quickly went viral on YouTube, entertaining thousands of viewers. The Great Tortoise Escape. At a private zoo in Irkutsk, Russia, two spur-thighed tortoises named Shrek and Fiona made multiple escape attempts in one day. First, they managed to break the glass of their enclosure by forcefully pushing against it with their shells. Miraculously, they did not get injured. Once free, the two tortoises set off on a surprisingly fast-pacing journey toward freedom. To stop them, a zookeeper had to physically sit on one of them to prevent its escape. The second tortoise, witnessing the struggle, decided to give up. However, a few hours later, Shrek and Fiona managed to break through a temporary barrier and escape once again. This time, a local cat named Batten intervened, stopping them in their tracks. A few years ago, a highly unpleasant incident occurred in a shopping mall in Kiev, where a large aquarium with a tiger shark had been installed as an attraction to draw in visitors. Due to the cramped conditions of the tank, the shark was literally smashing its head against the glass. The limited space left it with no room to turn around, and because of this, it kept colliding with the walls. As a result, its snout became flattened from the repeated impacts and was constantly bleeding. Over time, the glass even developed small cracks. As is well known, for a shark, not swimming means not breathing, so it was forced to keep moving, which only led to further injuries. Eventually, following demands from animal rights activists, the shark, named Big John, was transported to the Stralsund Oceanarium in Germany. Unfortunately, just a few weeks later, it passed away. The glass enclosure with the crocodile. A similar incident took place at the Almaty Zoo when a crocodile shattered the glass of its enclosure. The reason? A visitor had been taunting the animal in an attempt to amuse his children. The crocodile ultimately struck the glass with enough force to break it and nearly lunged at the man. According to the zoo's director, Igor Tulieva, the injured crocodile, named Gidel, was already very old. To provoke such a reaction from him, one would have to go to great lengths. As a result of the incident, the offender, overwhelmed with fear, fled the zoo, abandoning his mobile phone in the process. Meanwhile, the animal was left in the cold for an extended period while repair work was being carried out. Interestingly, zookeepers around the world frequently complain that many visitors behaved inappropriately, teasing animals and in some cases even attempting to climb into enclosures. Unfortunately, this kind of reckless behavior often leads to tragic consequences for these so-called daredevils. The polar bear enclosure. It is impossible to count how many glass panes in the world have been shattered by mischievous boys playing with a ball. However, it turns out that bear cubs are no less prone to such antics. One day, the staff at the Tallinn Zoo discovered a crack in one of the glass walls of the polar bear enclosure. For safety reasons, the bears were immediately relocated to an indoor area. It wasn't long before the cause of the damage was uncovered. The culprit was a bear cub named Aaron. The crack appeared after he had been playing with a 20-kilogram ball and, in the middle of his game, threw it against the wall. Of course, this was double-layered reinforced glass, so only the inner panel sustained damage. Well, that's all for now. Share your experiences in the comments. Have you ever visited an oceanarium? If so, how many times? Thank you so much for watching.